Entry number one for my technique development and research journal. Over this next couple of minutes, I will be talking about the things that I've done in my movement classes and in my stage and screen performance classes. I'll start off with the movement classes because that's what I did first. Um, so we talked about neutrality and what it's all about, and how to be a good actor you need to be able to get into that state of pure neutrality so you can create a character from the ground up. Whereas if you were stood there like you actually are, so if I was stood still like me, let's say I have my arms crossed, and then someone says to me, "Oh, create a character that's like kind of smug." I'd start off with my arms folded, and I'd just be like, "Okay, well my arms are still folded, so I'll just do that." So I'll just kind of look kind of smug. But because I have my arms already folded, I'm not truly creating a character. So I'd need to. So I wouldn't really be creating a character, and it'd still have aspects of me in it. Whereas neutrality is, if I can find it. Okay, what is it? According to Meyerhold, it is when you have your feet parallel, so facing straight forward, hands by your hips, so down by your side, fingers pointing towards the floor. So there's nothing else you're doing. You don't have your hands, you don't have your arms like that. Your hands aren't like that. You nothing like this. No little things that you might be doing with your hands. You need to make sure you're completely hands are fingers straight down at the floor, and eyes look towards a certain point on a wall. So you're not looking around anywhere, because that still, in my eyes, would mean that you're still, um, you've still got a aspect of you in it. Like if your eyes are drawn to a certain part of the room, then it's still you. You're still like influencing that character, or you're still facing that part of the room. Um, so it's be a certain point, just a point on the wall. Just pay attention to that point. The weight is balanced on your feet, so you're just stood still, feet straight forward. Weight is balanced, um, so you're not like leaning or anything like that. And once again, there's nothing to do with you. It's just a neutral character. Um, and knees not locked, but they're not supposed. So they're not supposed to be straight. They are supposed to be bent very, very slightly, so you'd be ready to go somewhere. I'll put a picture of it underneath this video, but they need to be not so much not straight, but just slightly bent, so as if you're ready to just walk somewhere. If they're locked, then you're not ready to do anything. But if they're slightly bent, then it's almost like you're ready to extend them in a way to walk somewhere if you need to walk as a character, which is very interesting. Um, Things that we had to note. If only I could remember where it was. Um, it's something to note is why we had to do it. Why is it important in the whole concept of acting? And it's crucial in the principle of actor training. So every true actor has to go through it, and I can understand that. It's it's an important thing that you have to go through to learn how to become a true actor and um, create an actual character. It's a state of energized stillness. Now I'll do more research on this, and obviously put the more research into what I find in the bottom. But a state of energized stillness. Um, a state of readiness. A state of readiness, of course. That's what I was saying before with the sense of you have to ready to go somewhere. It's like you're ready to go you're ready to walk somewhere, and so yeah, it's a state of being ready to go somewhere, and you may be still, but you're still like energized. You're ready to do something. Um, Allows the body to be fully receptive. So, of course, if I was to be stood there like still, my arms folded, looking at a certain part of the room, and then someone says to me, "Oh, create this character," I might get caught off guard. So it's like, so I'm not truly creating the best character I can. Whereas if I was to be, um, like in the state of readiness, if I was to be in a state of neutrality, I'd be focusing on one point. I'd be knees ready to move. I'd just be ready to do whatever I need to do. So that's all very interesting things to note. That it's not getting rid of a personality. You're not just becoming like a robot. It's still you're still you, and of course you need to put into your own um, you need to put in your own like aspects to create these characters. Of course, that's what we went through with Stanislavski, but we'll get into that later on. So you're not getting rid of your personality. It's more just being ready to become have a different personality. If you could, if I'm saying that right. Um, so yeah. The point of neutrality is to provide a good starting point, and that's what I've gone. That's what I've basically said multiple times already. It's it's just to create a good starting point for a character that would make sense. Okay. Now, if I don't think I've done a lot there, but I'll put more research into that, and that'll be below this video. But um, we in the stage performance lesson with JMR, we went through Stanislavski, and we learned about who he was and how he was basically like almost the creator of naturalism in a play, and of course naturalism being as realistic and relatable as it can possibly be to the audience. So it's not to create a play that would be, you create a play that's funny to a certain set of people. So if you were to create a play that was going to be showed to um, like primary school children first and then adults afterwards, you wouldn't create the play just to be funny to those primary school children or just to be funny to those adults. It'd be funny for a general public because it's realistic and it's relatable to the people watching it. They'd find humor in the realism of the situation. So he had many theories, but four of these theories are the biggest ones. So I'll go through these ones after in great detail afterwards. But he went through the 7 questions, um, which of course helps to you think about it and how you need to think about this character and then answer these questions as this character, and then all of a sudden you'll be able to create a realistic thing. Because if you're, say, like a character is they're in a bad place, and let's say their families died, it's you'd create it so you'd kind of have to go around and think about how that'd work for you. How you would react to that. So you just need to think about this character and how they are, um, how they are in life, and how you'd be able to play that. I'll go into more detail later on. Observation, how actual people do it. How so in observation, you'd say you wouldn't know how to do a certain thing. Say you had to play a businessman, and I'm not a businessman. I don't know how to do that. But what you'd need to do is like look at someone who is a businessman and look at their uh, mannerisms and think about how they act, and then you'd look at them and go, okay, and you'd study that. You'd study how they walk, how they put weight on their feet, where they put their arms, how they move their arms, all that kind of stuff. Um, and then we got emotional memory, is another one, which is not as much observation, but it's like if it was, say, you're going through like your character is going through a breakup, and you've had that experience of going through a breakup. You can just think back to that experience of going through a breakup, and you'd be able to create your character based around it. You'd be able to say, think back to how you felt then. Think back to how exactly you felt, and then you'd be able to create this character that's extremely relatable because it's relatable to you. You are this character, and it may seem like it coincides with, it kind of contradicts with neutrality and getting rid of your personality. But this is what I mean with the whole with not getting rid of your personality, because it's all in the same boat. It's getting rid, like, you're not getting rid of your personality, but you're being yourself, but also not being yourself. It's very complicated, and well, emotional memory is just basically you think back to how you felt in that situation, and you'd be able to create that situation. Um, in a sense, you'd be able to um, like think back to how you felt, and then just reenact that feeling of uh, emotion. And the magic if is similar to observation, but not so much. But more relates more to emotional memory. So we went through this and basically said, if there was a situation that happened, let's say for me, I'd say the random thing. If all of a sudden, if there was a terrorist attack, and I was like in the middle of it, like I was there, a bomb went off near me or something like that, how would I react? I need to answer that question with realism of how would I react to that situation, and not think about it of, oh, I'd be a hero and I'd do this and that, but I need to think about it realistically. How would I react? And if I need to do that, I also might need to do some research into um, what exactly it is, like how other people have reacted to it. I need to look at other things, which is why it kind of relates to observation, but not as much. Um, so we looked into these things more in depth. So, meaning the magic if, what if I was in this situation? Research to inform my decision. So, like I said, if I was in a terrorist attack, I'd like to think that I'd be a hero, but I wouldn't. I can just tell already I wouldn't. I wouldn't react in a certain way, and I'd have to, um, use research to inform my decision. And the more research, meaning the more context, meaning the more believable it is. So it's just not just my opinion. It's like my opinion based on fact. It's very strong, factual opinion. I probably should turn that down. Let me just. Oh, never mind. Never mind. Emotional memory. Remembering a moment from my past and thinking back to how it made me feel. Yeah. So once again, just kind of using the past to inform how I'd feel about a certain situation. Observation, watching other people's experiences, looking back and thinking about. So if I had to be a businessman, I'd probably go, I don't know, into town, near the train station, and I'd have to look back at how they reacted to certain things, and have to see how they walk and all that stuff. Now, the 7 questions is probably the most in-depth one we went through because the 7 questions. All right, that's something else. So 7 questions. The 7 questions are, if I can find it, 7 questions. You can. It doesn't matter about doing this in order necessarily. It's just remembering all of them and being able to answer them in depth. So not just so. Who am I? I'm Bailey Snow. 17 years old. Born in London but lived in Blackburn almost my entire life. Having to answer these questions in depth, not just saying, "Oh, I'm Bailey. I'm from Preston's College. I go to Preston's College." Like, I need to be able to have more in depth, and the more in depth my answers are, meaning the more in depth my character becomes. 2, where am I? So once again, I would probably more fall in line with me being from London and stuff like that. It more fall in depth to it, and I go to Preston's College, and obviously it's the more in depth my answers are will help my character in any way. So where am I? It's not just a physical question. It's possibly more of it's also a metaphorical question. Like, where am I financially? Where am I mentally? Like, am I in a good place right now? I don't know. Like, I need to answer these questions to help portray my character properly. What time is it? Once again, you can't. There's no point in just saying it's 5 o'clock, 2019, this day. It's like you have to think of that more metaphorically rather than just physically. Like, you just think about what time is it? Are we in a bad time as a country right now? Is it a time of unrest because of Brexit? All that sort of stuff. What do I want? What do I as a character want to achieve in life? What am I trying to get through? It's an important question. Like, it's the whole point of the character. Like, what am I trying to achieve as a character? What am I not gonna stop until I can get? Like, what am I trying to get? Why do I want it? Why am I trying to achieve this goal of whatever it is I'm trying to achieve? Like, once again, it's thinking more in depth about my character and how it would react to certain things. So why do I want it? Because my dad told me to do it before he died or something like that, and all of a sudden it creates this new character of, his dad died. It's all of a sudden becoming the basis for the whole story. Like, it's his backstory of why does he want it? Because his dad died. Oh, so his dad's dead, meaning I'd have to look back at it and use the magic if anything, because I can't use that emotional memory because that's never happened to me. But if I was to learn about that, I'd have to use the magic if to create the basis of this character, and I have to look back at that. Right, so who am I? Where am I? What time is it? What do I want? Why do I want it? Number 6, how am I going to achieve it? So what am I as a character going to go through to try and get this? Do I want it that badly that I'm going to risk my own life for it? Once again, it creates that character. And 7, what barriers are in my way? Now, it wouldn't be a show, it wouldn't be a play, it wouldn't be a performance if there wasn't something standing in your way. If the characters could just go, I want to do this, they walk up, they do it, and they walk home, there you go, no problem, then it wouldn't be a very good play at all. It'd just be watching someone do something. That there has to be barriers so they can, like, there's something that will stop them, which might be I don't know, a terrorist attack. And all of a sudden, once again, I have to think back to that magic if, because that's never happened to me personally, but I have to use a lot of research and think about how I would react in that certain situation to create this realistic piece of performance. That's all I've got so far, really. I'll put more research underneath this video on my WordPress. And thank you for listening.